My name is Mrs. Lloyd, normally only visible teaching Latin in the Twilight Zone. Mr. Moren has asked me to talk about the Year 8 Latin course, which I have enjoyed teaching this year. First, I should say congratulations. You are now almost a quarter of the way to achieving a GCSE in Latin. Yes, and by the end of Year 8, you will be halfway on the journey to that goal. I'm sure you are familiar with the title of your textbook, Latin to GCSE, and you have come to appreciate its very clear way of working, so you can be confident as you continue on that journey. The Romans were very logical people. Even a glimpse of these remains of the Roman Forum illustrates this. Look at the geometrical precision with which they constructed arches and columns, for example. And one day you will be able to visit the Roman Forum, now a ruin, but once the political, commercial and religious centre of Rome, with spectacular buildings. As the Romans extended their empire and spread their influence, they applied this logical approach to whatever they undertook, such as the organisation of the army, which was crucial to their success, and the construction of roads, as you can see here, and aqueducts, for example, the Roman aqueduct in Segovia, Spain. And they were ahead of their times in providing public baths, driven by the importance of keeping the conquered people fit and healthy. Again, a very logical approach to life. You may already have visited the Roman baths at Bath, called Aquae Sulis by the Romans, the waters of the goddess Sulis. And this logical approach definitely applies to their language. You now have a very good grounding in how Latin works, and I'm sure that you have come to appreciate why Mr. Lewis compared Latin to a code when you set out on this journey. Learn the rules and you also can fly, though perhaps not quite like Bellerophon, Prince of Corinth, on the winged horse Pegasus, killing the Chimera, a fire-breathing monster. In Year 8, you will be building on very firm foundations as you enlarge your knowledge of Latin grammar and apply this to Roman history and culture through the passages you translate. As you move on to Chapter 3, you will learn about one of the great stories of ancient mythology. Following the defeat of the Trojans by the Greeks in the Trojan War, the Trojans sailed under the leadership of Aeneas in search of a new land for Troy, a story told by the great Roman writer Virgil in the Aeneid. Here in a 3rd century mosaic you can see the poet Virgil seated between Clio, the muse of history, with her symbol a scroll, and Melpomene, the muse of tragedy, holding a mask. Virgil was writing at the time of the first Roman emperor, Augustus. This marble statue of Augustus was discovered in the 19th century in a villa once owned by Livia Drusilla, his 3rd wife. Aeneas and his followers faced many challenges in their journey across the Mediterranean Sea from Troy, a city in the northwest of modern-day Turkey, as they searched for a new place to settle. They are helped on their way by the gods. From the short stories you read in Latin, you will gain a glimpse into the world of the gods and gain an understanding of how such stories came to play an important role in Roman culture. When the Trojans reach Sicily, they are disturbed by a dreadful roar from Mount Etna and then encounter the one-eyed Cyclops, the man-eating monsters. Here is the head of a Cyclops from the Roman Colosseum. The Colosseum was used for gladiatorial contests and public spectacles, such as mock sea battles, all to entertain and control the citizens. From Sicily, their journey takes the Trojans to Carthage in North Africa. Here, Aeneas meets Queen Dido, and so begins a great love affair, which ends in tragedy when Aeneas abandons her, as his great moral obligation is to found a new city for the Trojans, and this had to come before anything else. This is a story that has been immortalized in culture, in the theatre, opera, and art. This artist was inspired by the story following his travels in Italy in the 18th century. The Trojans finally land in an area of Italy where a tribe called the Latins lived, hence the origin of the language. By chapter 5, you will read about the Trojans founding a city that later is called Rome. And at this point you will move on in time to the famous story of Romulus and Remus, twin boys hidden on a riverbank and rescued by a she-wolf. They subsequently decided to establish a new city, but quarrel as to where to build it. Romulus eventually killed Remus and went on to be a successful ruler and give his name to the new city. So, where will your journey take you after year 8? By the end of year 8, you will have a very thorough grounding in much of the essential grammar you need for success in GCSE, and you will sit that exam in year 10. That may well seem a daunting prospect, but at Newstead it is a tried and tested route with some excellent results. By taking Latin in year 10, you not only get a GCSE out of the way, but also gain valuable experience in sitting a public exam before you take the majority of your subjects in year 11. Latin in year 8 will continue to offer a challenge, but a challenge that is so rewarding in terms of your personal development. You have to be organised, able to keep up with the pace of the learning, still 1 hour a week, and you have to take responsibility for your learning. The benefits are that you can apply the skills you learn from your study of Latin to all aspects of your learning. Skills in analysis, thinking things through, attention to detail, and memory and recall. You will continue to develop a firm grounding in the structure of language and the importance of grammar, a greater understanding of the English language and other languages that owe much to Latin, knowledge and understanding of the classical world. Remember that Roman history and culture still influences us today in many aspects of our lives. And I will leave you now with some comments from some current Year 8 students who have already risen to that challenge.